Howdy Shredders, welcome to another episode of Learn That Solo. Today we're going to be looking at December Flower by In Flames. It's a pretty win. Let's take a look. Before we get too excited, we just got to get into C standard tuning, which is C, F, B flat, E flat, G, and another C at the bottom. So get yourself in tune and we'll get started. Okay, let's have a look at the first bit of this section. I want to start from 12 of the 6th string. I'm going to hammer, or play 12 and then hammer 14, 15, and then hit 14 of the 5th string, and then we're going to do exactly the same idea up an octave. So what I'm doing here is going 14, 16, 17, only plucking the 14 but hammering on the next 2, and then going to 16 of the 3rd. If I play that back to back, you'll notice that it's pretty much the same phrase twice up the octave. Okay, and the next bit goes. Now this one's nearly the same, but instead of going to the 5th, we actually go to the 4th note of the scale. So we're going to go from the 16 of the 3rd that we just did. I play 17 to 19 is a hammer on, and then I slide from 19 to 20. Because I don't have any fingers left, and I find trying to hammer those, I have a pretty bad time. So what I'm doing here, playing 16 of the 3rd, doing a hammer on from 17 to 19 on the 2nd, and then sliding over to 20. Okay, and then I want to hit 17 of the 1st string, and then I want to go 20, 19, 17 on the 2nd string, so it'll go. So play that all again. And at the end of that it'll go. So those last 2 notes were 20 to 19 on the 1st. So let's try the whole thing a little slower. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing 17, hammering 19, and pulling off to 17, and then to 15. So all in one pick. And then I slide from 15 to 14, and then 14 to 12. So I go. So I want to do that whole phrase with one pick. And it goes. What I'm doing here is a bend up and back on 15 of the 1st string. And when I bring it down, I'm doing a pull off from 15 to 14 on the 1st string, and then I pluck 12, and then I play 15 of the 2nd string, and then the next bit I'm playing 14, 12, 11 on the 3rd. So I'll go from the bend a little slower. Okay, and then there's one more tiny bit at the end. So what I'm doing here is a bend up and back on 14 of the 3rd, and then a hammer on to a pull off from 12 to 14 back to 12. Okay, and then it goes. So that's just going 11, 12, 14 on the 3rd. And then we just want to add in another 11, 12. So it'll go. Let's try the whole thing from the start of the section a little slower. The second section is going to start off with a little sweep, and then we're just going to descend down this very diatonic run. Okay, so that little sweep I've got at the start starts from 21 of the 3rd, and I'm going 21, 20 of the 2nd, and 19 of the 1st. And then from 22 of the 1st, I'm just working down the scale. So from the 1st string, I'm going to go 22, 20, 19, and then the same thing on the 2nd. So nice same shape twice. And then when I get to the third string, I go 21, 19, 17, so on the dots, all the odd numbers. And then after 17, I hit 16, so I go. Okay, as soon as I hit 16, I go work down that scale. If you guys saw Over the Wall a couple of lessons ago, it's kind of a similar pattern to that. What I'm doing is I'm playing 16, 17 on the third string and then 19 to the fourth. And I'm going to do pretty much the same idea again, except the middle finger comes up a string. So I'm going to play 16 of the third and then 17, 19 on the fourth. Okay, then it goes. Sorry. It's gross. And then pretty much the same idea from the fourth string. And then we go. So just go through that a little slower. 16, 17 on the fourth, 19 of the fifth, and then 16 of the fourth, 17, 19 of the fifth. So, and at the end of that, there's just two more notes, which is 15, 17 on the fifth. Let's try it from the start of the whole thing now, a little slower. Hope that makes sense. Okay, I've got this sort of slight slide in, and then I'm sweeping through what would be, I guess, in standard tuning, a D major arpeggio. I've just got one more little note in there. So I'm sliding into 17 of the fifth, and then I just gently sweep down the start. Nothing too ridiculously fast. This is a little bit slower. So take your time on this one. So slide into 17, hit 16 of the fourth, and then 14 of the third. And then I do a hammer on from 15 to 17 on the second. And then I want to hit 14 of the first string. So I go. And the end of it goes. What I'm doing there is I'm sliding from 14 to 16, on the third string rather, and then 14, 12, and then 11, 12 to finish. So I go. Alright, let's have a look at the whole section a little slower. Okay, the third section is going to start with all these runs. They're pretty fun, they're pretty good times. It's just sort of working straight up the scale. I'm going to start from 10 of the fifth string, and I'm going to do the same shape twice, which is 10, 12, 14, and also the same on the fourth string. When I get to the third, I've got 11, 12, 14. And then when I jump to the second string, it's the same shape again. I'm just shuffling over to the 12th fret, so going 12, 13, 15 on the second. Just keep in mind that we're coming from... So that note there is, I guess, the first beat of the next bar. So we've got to start on the off beat. Hopefully that makes sense, and then it goes... Let's slow this run down. I want to start from 16 of the fourth string and go 16, 17, 19, and also the same on the third string. Okay? Then when I get to the 17th fret of the second string, we're still working up the scale, and we'll go 17, 19, 20, and also the same on the first. So if you listen to it slow, it's a pretty boring sounding scale. Okay? And then as soon as I hit that ring finger, I start reversing again. So I want to go 20, 19, 17, also on the first string rather, and then the same on the second. So I go. And then at the end of that, I want to play 15, then 17. So I go. Okay, let's take it from the start of the section, starting off on the off beat. Okay, hope that makes sense, and then it goes. Just getting my head around that. So I'll go 15 of the first string, and then I tap 24. Then I pull off the tap, and I want to get my ring finger ready. So this is kind of annoying. Hitting 15, tapping the 24, and then you'll notice that I'm trying to get that ring finger there in time. So that when I pull off that tap, I've got that slight bend on 17. When I bring the bend down, I want to pull off to 15. So let's do that all again a little slower. Okay, and at the end of that, I want to tap 22 and then do a slight bend on 15. So we'll go. Then it goes. What I'm doing here is picking 14, 15, 17 on the first, and then from the middle finger, I'm doing 15 to 17 as a hammer on, pulling off the 15, and then pulling off from the 15 to the 14. So I go all in one pick. So we pick all the way up, and then we get to the middle finger, that quick legato thing, and then I want to hit 17 of the second string to finish. Let's go from the tap. Alright, let's try the whole thing from the start. Okay, so the fourth section's mostly just this one run. And there's a little bit of stuff after it. So what I wanted to do before we start adding that pattern to it is just have a look at what scale we're using. Let's start from 19 of the first string. Just very quickly, we're going to go 19, 17, 15. Same on the second. Then on the third, I go 17, 16, 14. And the same on the fourth. And then just 17, 15 on the fifth. So that's sort of what we're working with, and then we're going to add a little pattern to it. So let's start from 17 of the first string now that we're sort of familiar with that shape. We're going to go 17, 19, and then 15, 17. Okay, and then I want to go from 19 of the second string to 15 of the first. And then add 17, 19, and then 15, 17 to the second string. So it'll go... So you'll notice that it's just sort of the same pattern all the way. So we just did, and then I want to roll my middle finger, or whatever you're using, to 17 of the third string. We're going to go 17 down to 15 of the second. And then here, I want to go 16, 17, 14, 16 on the third. And then go from the fourth string from 17 to 14 of the third string. And then here we sort of borrow what we did on the third string, which is going to go 16, 17, 14, 16. So let's get up to there from the start a little slower. Then it goes. Okay, so what I've got here is 17 of the fifth string into 14 of the third, and then I want to go from there to 15, 17 of the fifth, and then end on 14 of the fourth. So that'll be from the end of that. So we'll try from the start. And then it goes. Okay, so what I do here at the end of the phrase is I play 14 of the fourth, a little muted, and then I play 16 to 17 as a hammer on into a pull off, so you'd be going back to the 16. And at the end of that I want to pick 14, so I go, and I go. So what I've got here is a bend on 20 of the first, a hammer on from 19 to 20, and I just pluck the 19 at the end. So the last little chunk goes. Let's try the whole section from the start a little slower now. Let's have a look at the last section. I'm going to do a slight bend on 22 of the first, and then a bend up and back on 22 of the second. Then it goes. What I'm doing there is 22 of the first string, a slight bend on 22 of the second, slight bend of 20 of the second, and then to 19 of the second as well. So from the start, okay, then the next bit goes. What I'm doing there is 17 of the second with a slight bend on 14 of the third after it, and then exactly the same thing 2 frets back. 15 of the second, slight bend on 12 of the third. Okay, at the end of that it goes. So I'm playing 11 of the third string, and then I do 12 of the fourth to 12 of the third. So I'm sort of just rolling that flat finger. from the start of the section. Okay, then after that it goes into this. What I'm doing there is a hammer-on into a pull-off from 19 to 20, back to 19 on the first string. Okay, slight vibrato at the end if you want, and then... Sorry, my bad. We want to bend that up and back into a pull-off. So it goes 20 up and down on the second string, pull off to 19, and then just pick that last 20. So to go from the first string, up and back, pull off, and an extra pick. So we'll try the whole thing thus far. Okay, now we want to borrow the whole phrase up until when we had that flat finger on 12. So this is all the same again. So as soon as we get to that flat finger and end on 12 of the third, we go into this. Alright, so let's have a look at that. We just did 12 of the third from that flat finger, and it goes into this. So what I'm doing here is a hammer-on from 17 to 19 and then 15 to 17 on the first string. And then what I do at the end of that is 19 of the second to 15 of the first. And then I want to play 17 of the second to resolve that mini phrase. And then I want to quickly jump back to 12 of the third. So we're going to keep returning to this, so it'll go... So that we just keep jumping back to that 12. It does sound a little bit strange, but in the context of the song, it's pretty cool. So we just did jumping to 12 of the third string, and then it goes... So what I'm doing here, 12 of the third, a hammer on from 12 to 13 on the second string, and then 14 of the third string to 12 of the second. At the end of that I go... What I'm doing here is I'm doing a hammer on from 12 to 14, playing 11, and then we're resolving back to that 12. So that whole little chunk there. So the whole thing from the start of when it's sort of getting busy around here. Sorry. As soon as we hit that after this phrase, we're going to repeat this phrase again. And then go back to that 12 again. So I want to start from the second half of this section now a little slow. We'll go from this part. Hope that all makes sense thus far. One more quick jump to 12, and then we go. So after we've hit 12, I'm jumping to 5 of the third string with my middle finger, and this is pretty legato-y. So I'm playing 5, hammering to 7, and then pulling off to 5, 4. And then the rest of it, we're just sort of descending down that scale diatonically. So from the 4th string, I'm playing 7, 5, 4. And then when I get to the 5th string, I've got a bit of the bigger span here. I'm going 7, 5, 3. And then hammering back to 7 to finish that. Alright, that's the whole solo. Let's go from the start of section 5. And that's all of the December Flower solo. Hope you guys have enjoyed that. I'll catch you real soon.